What happens to your identity when the person you built your life around is suddenly gone? Not gradually, not with warning. One knock on the door, and everything you thought you knew about yourself gets rearranged overnight. Grief doesn't care how strong you are, how faithful you are, or how many people love you. It will find the cracks anyway. And if you've ever had to figure out who you are after the worst thing imaginable, this conversation is going to hit it differently. Don't sleep on this one.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Impctrs Out Loud with me, Tracy V. Allen. And today we have with us Kamisha or Cam Golden. Cam, I am so happy to have you here today. I was reading a little bit about your backstory, and it kind of resonates with me. And I am just really happy to have you share who you are and what you do and how you create impact for your community. So, welcome to Impctrs Out Loud.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. We call it our cause tale. So, what's your backstory? How did you get to who you are today? Because who you are today is quite a
Yes,
powerful woman who is into a
yes,
lot of things.
I am. I am.
Mhm.
Thank you. Well, my story is a little different from most. What got me to where I am today is on November 23rd of 2023, my life changed literally in the blink of an eye. What I thought was a ordinary day turned into something that I could never have imagined. It started with the knock on the door. Literally, that's when the change happened, and the police notifying me that my husband was killed in a car accident that happened not even 3 miles away from our home. And at that point, it's like I had an out of body experience, and I was just kind of watching myself as I was going through the motions. And it's kind of like my world stopped at that point. But I was able to identify that I needed some additional support to help me to get through. I knew it was something that my family could not love me through. I really didn't feel like I could even pray myself through it. So I did get into therapy at that point. I established my relationship with God, and I started being more intentional about me because it literally shook my foundation. And so from that, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned who I am, who I truly am, because now the layers have been pulled back. I was the wife of Steve. I was the mother to Sydney and Tanisha, and they're grown now. So when you take all of that away and I'm left with me, and it's ironic because I started with just me because it was just me before I became a mom and before I came a wife. And so I have been trying to figure out exactly who I am, but I'm still trying to ensure that I advocate for change in regard to what happened to my husband. I'm trying to ensure that his legacy is not forgotten and that his legacy is still imprinted in the world. I need the world to know that he existed and who he was. And for our future grandchildren that will never get a chance to know him, and even the family members that did know him, it's important that he is imprinted in history. So I have been a big advocate to have him recognized. He was a 23-year veteran with the United States Navy. I've had different resolutions passed in the state of Kentucky as well as here in the great state of Georgia on his behalf. I am very active in my community. I volunteer for a lot of causes. I have a spirit of generosity. And so I'm always finding these things that I want to do. I do believe that God expects us and wants us to be a blessing to someone. And I feel like that is what we're supposed to do. I think that makes the world a better place. So I'm always trying to imprint upon people. Our youth really is my passion because my youngest daughter is 21, graduating from college this year. And I identify that the 21 through 35-year-old is different from when we were coming up. And so I feel that we have to still be a guide for them. Like I always say with my kids, it's like I let them spread their wings, but I'm kind of like a little bumper guard. I let them do their thing.
Mhm.
But then, I won't let them go too far, and I'll steer them back over. So, losing Steve has really caused me to really tap into my own identity because I lost it. And then I had to find it. And it's different because the things that were familiar and the things that I had, it didn't fit anymore because a lot of those things brought me sadness. And so I had to figure out who I am. And when I tell you, it has taken me to places that I have never thought that I would be, hence even here. It's not just about telling my story in regard to the grief, but it is how that grief has changed my life so much. And to be able to show people that, yes, this bad thing happened. And yes, it shook me to my core. It destroyed everything that I knew as normal. But here I am, still fast forward almost 2.5 years, and I'm still standing. I feel like I am a better version of myself. And that is because I have literally put me first. And as women, that's a hard thing to do. Today is a good day. I have my days that, it's like, oh my goodness. But I'm continuing to work at creating whatever my new blueprint is. So that's who I am. And that's how I got to where I am. Grief shows up in different ways. But this is the face of grief. And I am no different than anybody else. I was not exempt.
Yeah. So when you started with your story, I had to come off camera for a little bit because I needed to make sure I wasn't going to burst out in tears and cry. Because like I told you before we started, your story kind of resonates with me. My son was in the Marines and he died in a car accident, and it started with a knock at the door. And sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night screaming because I'm reliving that day. I remember coming home, sitting on the bed, and I was saying, oh, I got to call my son. And I picked up the phone to call him, and the phone rang in my hands. And it was my cousin downstairs saying, hey, the police is at the door. And I'm like, the police? I don't commit crimes. Nobody in this house commits crimes. Like, what are the police doing at my door? And going downstairs, and I was like, hi. And they're looking at me like, because I was, like,
right. You're not thinking they're finna break your heart, literally. Yes.
No. And so they looked at me like, oh, she doesn't know why we're here, Right. And then
they gave you that, they broke your heart. And that's
into a million pieces.
Yeah. I was telling somebody, police are trained to do that. And not just police, because even the military people, when they have to notify, they're trained to do that.
Oh, the military. That was another thing.
They're very stoic in what they do.
Oh no, the police were really nice to me.
Yeah, they
were
nice,
really nice. They hugged me. They rubbed my back. They asked if there was anything they could do for me. Yeah.
Yes. So it was like I saw a different side. So they were very kind, but it was like because I came out like I was sensing something was wrong before they even came. So I came out the door like, are you coming to tell me something happened to my husband? Like I'm giving them information so they can't even ask me whatever they were going to ask me. And at some point, it was almost like I felt like I threw them off, and they were literally trying to find holes in my story to not break my heart. Like you know what I'm saying? So just to see that they're human, and these are officers that reside in my community. I'm still in my home that my husband and I shared. And so these people still check in on me.
Oh, that's so nice.
So and they did not know my husband before that day, but they've remembered him ever since then.
Yeah, that's really nice. With the military, for me, he died on a Monday afternoon, and it was so ironic that when he passed, my daughter and I, who's also now 21, was 15 at the time, we were talking about him. Because I remember what time it was when we were in the car driving, And we started a conversation about him. And then when they told me he died, that was exactly when we started the conversation about him. She said, "Oh, I haven't seen my brother in 2 days." You know what I mean? Because he was working
Mm.
shifts in and out. So when he would come in, she would be sleeping, whatever. And I said, "Oh, he was here last night." You know what I mean? I didn't see him either, but I heard him come in, take a shower, change his clothes, and he left. I said, "Well, when we go home, we'll call him." We just were having laughing about some things that he does and blah blah blah, and we didn't know what was happening to him at the time.
Right, right.
You
Right. You
know?
didn't know that that was your last ordinary day with him.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so I had decided that I would not um, make an announcement until Wednesday,
Okay.
but social media doesn't give you that kind of grace.
Yeah, that the same thing kind of happened with me. Steve has a
And
lot of
I'm upset
siblings.
till today
Yeah,
about it.
he has a lot of siblings, and they live in
Yeah.
Kentucky. And
Mhm.
one of his sisters put it on social media, and it was just like I saw it. I guess God meant for it to be. I saw it,
Mhm.
and I felt like I was forced to say something,
Oh my
and I
gosh.
and I
See?
and I wasn't ready. But
I wasn't
we live
ready.
here, and it's kind of like that. That was something that was with me, because I feel like I was unselfish in the fact that I did share with family, because I didn't have to share it until I was ready. I could have sat
Mhm.
here and sat in it for a while. I just feel like with stuff like that, people need to be mindful and respectful of the person that gets to make the decisions. It's not
Yeah.
about a power trip or anything, but give
Mm-mm.
me a chance to get myself together. And we
Mhm.
still had close family that are here. I had a daughter that was traveling from down south. I didn't need her to see that on social media. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's like, let everybody get together, and of course, just be respectful, and let that person who's responsible for everything, let that person make the announcement if
Mhm.
and when they want to
They
make the
want
announcement.
to. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I hold so much resentment for having to say it out loud, to type it onto social media
Mhm. It's like
because
giving a whole statement, and it's like you're not ready,
yes.
but you got to put something. And I don't know if you remember, but like when I did that, and people would come back and they're commenting, right? And of course,
Mhm.
after I posted, I had checked out. I did
Mhm.
not read any of the comments or anything until almost a year later.
Mhm.
Almost a year later. At
Yeah.
that point, I just had like my sister to just put a blanket, thank you for your condolences or whatever. But I stayed
Mhm.
away from it until like that next year was when I actually read the comments.
Mhm. Yeah. And for me is he was still active military. And so after coming back from the hospital to identify the body, um I was like, "Oh, I gotta call the military tomorrow morning." I said, "But that's for tomorrow morning. I
Mhm.
just need to get through tonight and stop
Right,
crying, stop
right,
screaming, just
right.
stop falling apart." And about 2:30 in the morning, I want to say 2:30, probably 2 o'clock, my phone rings. And I'm like, who could possibly be calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning?
The
Like, this is the first
military?
time I'm having this conversation. Like, most
Oh,
people
wow.
don't know these stories. Like, so I'm like laying down in the bed and I'm crying, and I'm like, this is not real. Tracy, wake up, like trying to just rationalize with myself.
Yes,
And
yes.
um the phone, like I said, my phone rings and I answer it. And I'm hearing this is Corporal whoever, and I'm like, he was like, I'm calling to check in on our Marine because they're very
Yeah, yeah.
possessive, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm. Yeah.
he's
He
like,
don't belong to you anymore. He belongs to.
exactly, and I tell people that all the time
Yes,
too. They were like, hey, we're calling to check in on our Marine because we see some unusual activity on his Facebook page, and I was like, huh? I said I was gonna call you guys tomorrow, but what are you talking about? And he said, well, one of his platoon, the guys in
Oh,
his
okay.
platoon,
Yeah.
called them and said, hey, I think something has happened with Lance Corporal,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And so they're now calling me to make sure that what they were seeing, whether it's true or false, because
Right.
like I said, social media doesn't give you a chance to grieve,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Right. Right.
And so then at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm here telling them, hey, your Marine is no longer with us, you know? And then I have to, I'm not in a place where I want to
Right.
explain
But
this. I
you
already
gotta
had my
explain.
mindset for tomorrow morning, but now I have to do this at this point in time. And I don't know, it's
Listen,
been 6 years
but
and I'm still not okay.
listen,
I have
I
good days and I have
you have good
really
days and
bad
you
days.
have bad days. And it's
Yeah.
like I started with, I got to get in therapy. I take antidepressants, and it was like, I just
Mhm.
needed to help me to get through. Right. When I said that to myself over 2 years ago, if you
Mhm.
had told me that 2 years fast forward, I would still be in therapy, taking antidepressants, I wouldn't have thought it. I've lost people before, but it is the traumatic
Mhm.
way in which I lost him, like a normal
Mhm.
day.
Right.
Love you. I'll see you later. And it happened on Thanksgiving. He's going to
Mhm.
work.
Oh
Like a normal
no.
day turned into something awful. And I
Mhm.
can't skip past the holidays, but I was telling my mom that first year, I said, why are the holiday seasons so long? It seemed like it just stayed, like, because it was Thanksgiving. Then you had a break. Then Christmas came. Then New
Mhm.
Year's. It was just like, I just wanted to get over it.
Over it, yeah.
And then I still had to try to be present for my kids. And that was one of the
Mhm.
first times I couldn't be a mom because
Mhm.
I had nothing to give. I was so broken. I was struggling just
Mhm.
to do the things I needed to do, with planning the service and all of that. Like it was a struggle. It was a struggle for me. And I would say it was an older lady, and she had told me, she said, baby, you do whatever it is that you want to do. That's
Mhm.
your husband. You don't owe anybody anything. And that still
Explanation.
resonates with me to this day because,
Mhm.
you try to appease everybody else. You want people to be included. And then, when you've lost other people or been around when people lost other people, that's when people
Mhm.
start acting crazy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so you're trying to consciously just kind of head it off at the path or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Yeah, she's absolutely right. This
Mhm.
is my husband. I'm
Mhm.
going to do what I want to do. He left Kentucky when he was 17. His mom signed for him to go to the military right after high school. And
Mhm.
so he left there a boy, but the man that he was,
Mhm.
nobody knew that man like me. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
So giving respect to his family because that was his family, but
Mhm.
I was the one that made the decisions.
Mhm.
I did things that I didn't know. I would ask their input, but I pretty much did what I needed to do, and they came together and they supported me
Mhm.
at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, what happened was that because I was thrusted into making a statement on social media at 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning, since I realized it was already out there. Um, the next morning, I stopped crying. I stopped grieving and I
Mm.
went into project management mode because that's what I had to do.
Yes.
The
Yes.
ceremony had to happen. It was COVID time. I had to get things done. I needed to wrap up things. I
Yeah.
needed to plan things. I needed to lay him to rest. And I did not cry again until the day of the funeral. I screamed a lot.
Yeah. But I
Tears
think when
fell down my
you
face,
were
but I
doing
wasn't
things.
crying.
Yeah, I think you were doing things, and I know for me, my body was kind of like in that fight or flight mode.
Mhm,
So, I was moving, I was moving, I was
mhm,
moving. And
mhm.
when they say when everybody stops coming over and the calls stop coming in and you get into that quiet,
Yeah.
I was very fearful of that quiet.
Mhm,
I was very fearful of it because it seemed like when people were around, it's almost like I still wasn't there. I was physically there, but I wasn't there, you know, and I was trying to laugh, and I was trying to talk. And I remember like even going around when other people have passed away, and you know, everybody's laughing, talking about the good times. I couldn't get in that good time mode. I could not. I could not. I literally was, I was drowning. And when I say I stopped doing everything, I stopped eating, I stopped drinking. I remember my parents were like begging me, please eat something, because people.
Oh, I didn't eat for like 3 or 4 weeks.
I didn't eat nothing. Like now I am 272. I was like 248. Like it got to a point where my nutrition was an issue, and my doctor was like, yeah, Miss Golden, I have no problem putting a feeding tube in you. And that was like, and I was like, excuse me, because I know people get feeding tubes and they get infections and, you know, not, So I was like, no. So
I didn't eat for about 2 weeks. No food went into my mouth. The only thing I did was drink water enough to take my medication, because I'm on medication I have to take every day. And that's it. And I took that because I know if I don't take it, I'm going to die myself. And I can't leave that for my daughter without a parent. So if it wasn't for her, I don't know what
you just did what you had to do. You did.
I just did what I had to do. And after the funeral, I laid in bed for 3 days. Just laid in bed for 3 days. I didn't do nothing for 3 days. I went to the bathroom because I had to, and that was it. I didn't bathe. I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't do anything. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I laid in bed for 3 days because that's all I could do. I cried and cried and I cried some more. And I cried some more for 3 days because
be real. Like you just want, like I'll tell anybody, and I share with my therapist. I've always had that little mustard seed of faith that they got it wrong, and that he would come through that door and say, you know, they got it wrong.
Oh my God.
Right. And, you know, and I would be like, I don't care. Like, so nothing else matters. Like, and he had a Dodge Charger that had that Hemi engine. And so you could hear him before he came. And then you hear the garage go up. It gave me, it was like one of my neighbors, her friend had one. And every time I would hear it, even when the dog would hear it, she would think it was him. And my garage door would make a noise going up. It bothered me. So I had to replace my garage door opener. I had to get something that was quiet. So I
had to move.
It brought me, wow. See, and
I had to move.
I thought about the moving part, but it was like when we got married, my husband we had this house built. He had it built for me, and we picked out.
Oh
everything.
no.
And
can't go.
like he's in all of this. You know what I'm saying? So like he was home, this is home. So it was like I could not move. And then also I didn't want to make permanent decisions that I might regret. And so I just sat in it. You know what I'm saying?
But you were mature in that way where you didn't want to make permanent. I made permanent decisions. In my time of grief, like the house I live in currently, I bought sight unseen. I saw it online. I called the realtor. I said, I want the house, bought the house. Never saw the house. She came into the house and she did a tour with her iPhone. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, okay.
Now, did you move
sign
to a different
sign
state?
the papers on the plane. On the plane.
You moved to another state?
Yeah.
Did you move to
signed the papers on the plane and then landed in Florida, a homeowner. Yeah.
Now, my question to you is, do you regret that?
No.
Okay.
No. And the reason I don't regret it is because it was something that we had planned to do prior to him passing.
Now that makes sense, though. That makes sense.
It was something I had told him I wanted to do prior to him passing, but I had agreed to stay in Connecticut for an extra year because he was buying a house that he was closing on that Friday. And he was starting a new job the following week, Monday.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That it makes sense that you were doing what you had talked to him about. Because even when I started doing things, I realized like things that he took care of, something as simple as the water filter on the refrigerator. I never tried to change it because he always took care of it, but it went out. The first time it went out, a friend came and did it. The next time it went out, I had to figure it out, you know? And so little stuff like that. And so then I started doing things, and I did things to make my house a smart house. I did it where it was things that didn't require a whole lot of maintenance. Had a fence, the wood fence. I had the whole fence torn down and put a vinyl fence up because it was these boards that would pop out, and he would have the neighbor's house behind to nail it back in. And I'm like, I can't do all of that. So I had it torn down, and she had built up on our fence on our line, which we were not on our line, and that was something that bothered him. It was like I couldn't sleep because, you know, with eminent domain, people be taking a look. So when I had it taken down, I had them to push it back all the way back. So I understand when you say this is like, we had talked about this before, we waited. So it's like they're not here, but to move and do those things that you had talked about, then it makes you feel closer to them. And I even get it when you go into another state, you still felt closer because that is what you talked to him about doing. And he supported it.
Because I told him I could not deal with winter anymore.
Yeah, I don't know how y'all.
I said, this is for young people like yourself who can shovel snow and clean off the glass and all of that stuff. And
I'm probably about your age, ma'am. So look, I'm 54. I am not a child.
Yeah, I'm 53. So yeah, I was just like, no, I can't. Can't deal with this. That's for young folks.
Yes, but you know, down there in Florida, y'all have had some unseasonably cold weather here too.
Yes, so, we have. All of my plants are dead right now.
Yes.
It's but I still like it because like I said, he died during COVID. And I just remember just being cooped up in the house. My brothers and them were like, hey, you need to come home. So I left and I went back to the US Virgin Islands for about 3 months after.
Okay, that's the accent. I hear it.
Yeah. So they're like, you need to come home. We don't think that you should be alone, because they saw how distraught I was because they came to the funeral. And so I went home for a while, and then went back to Connecticut, packed up my stuff, and moved here to Florida.
But to some warmer weather.
Yes, and if we ever go back in lockdown, because I don't know, at least I can go outside.
That's why I said,
my house up in an apartment. Yeah,
I am truly going to have everything that I want here, so I don't have to go anywhere. I like being at home, you know.
Me too.
I want to have everything here that I need. Just in case, because the world is definitely changing. We've lived through a lot of things that I never thought we would say. You know, 9/11, being COVID, you know, and I was a federal employee. So like, Lord knows, I never thought we would have been furloughed. I didn't think I would be retired after 25 years. Like the plan was to work about 5 more years.
5 more years. Yeah.
But God said it was time. So I got out.
So you talked about getting some laws or amendments or bills passed in his name. Tell us about that.
Well, what I identify is, funny you would say COVID. When COVID happened, if you remember, nothing was moving. The truck drivers weren't moving the freight. And so we had shortages. Everybody was limiting tissue and all of that stuff. Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, what most people don't realize is that I'm going to speak in regard to the state of Georgia. In the state of Georgia, and other states probably did it as well, they increased the weight limit that a tractor trailer could carry because they could get more product to where it needed to be, which it made sense at that time. Well, COVID was in 2020. It's 2026. That has not been reverted back. Anything else that happened with COVID, you know, the sick time and stuff that the jobs got, they took all of that back to normal, but they didn't do that. And so whenever you have 18-wheeler with the trailer
Mhm.
and a car, the car is always going to lose.
Yes.
There are not really standard safety features that are required on all trucks. You may see some of the newer trucks that are very high tech. Everything is computerized. It's no log book. The truck will shut down when you're supposed to shut down because they only supposed to drive so many hours and then shut down. But it is not mandated that every truck on the road has this updated equipment, almost like a black box. It's not mandated. And so the result of that is when something like this happens, everybody is exposed at that point. And when I say everybody is exposed, maybe you weren't doing anything wrong, but when there is a catastrophic thing that happens like this, we look at everything. Everything is being looked at. And in this case specifically, there was no logbook. It was a story as to what happened to the logbook, but the fact that you were comfortable and you were okay with driving from Florida up to Georgia without it, that's probably not the first time that you've done it. So for me, I feel that it has to be that either if you're going to own a tractor and you're going to pull a trailer, you have to have equipment up in there that meets certain codes so that you can pull the freight. And then there's nothing that says, oh, I can do this. No, the computer's going to shut you down. I would like to make sure that, and I only learned this because I didn't know, but you know, the trucks are like where they're like in cruise control. Well, when they're in cruise control, they can only go up to a certain speed. But if you take cruise control off, you can exceed.
Then you can accelerate. Yeah.
Yes. And so when you think about something like a truck with a full load, and remember, depending on what they're carrying, that weight can vary.
Right.
But you're speeding. So speeding for a truck is different for a car. Yeah. Because remember, it takes a while for them. They can't stop on a dime.
No.
Yeah. So now knowing the things that I know as a result of my husband's accident, I feel like a lot of these things, not saying that his death could have been prevented, because I feel like this may have been God's will. Who am I to question that? But the things that have been uncovered as a result of this, you know, the person that was driving the truck has been charged with vehicular homicide in this. And at the time of the accident, he was living in Florida. He ended up moving to another state, like up kind of where you were originally from, where you originally lived. And he really has shown a lack of regard for our judicial system, not showing up at hearings, no justification, meaningful justification. You know what I'm saying? As to why it's not there. And I had received word a couple of days ago that the local sheriff and the U.S. attorneys had, not attorneys, U.S. marshals had worked together and they picked him up. They picked him up. But this is over 2 years. Like literally after that accident happened, he was supposed to go to court because he was cited. He was supposed to go to court in January here. He didn't come. There has been 3 other hearings. He didn't come. Wow. 2 of those last ones, I was there. I took away and I came. He didn't show up. And so the last one, he's retained counsel and his attorney sat up there. And when the judge is talking to him, and I was like, I know I must have heard that wrong. But when we got back to the conference room with the solicitor, and I said, did he say his daddy gave him this case? They said, yes, that is what he said.
What?
That's what he said.
Okay.
That's what he said. And that the judge asked, when can we expect him? He was like, I don't know. He can't fly because his license is meant. They did suspend his license after he killed my husband.
Okay.
He can't fly, and he had been saving up his money so that
Mm.
he could pay the fine that he would
Mm.
get from this accident. And that's amazing to me that
Mm.
you killed somebody and you really think a fine is all that it is. And now I do understand it is a misdemeanor that they charged him with because they can't prove intent. I
Right.
get that. But you still took somebody's life. That would be something for me where it'll be a hard pill for me to swallow, to look at the person in the mirror every day and live with that. I took a life. And so they basically are saying that with the misdemeanor might be like a year or two jail time. But jail time, like a year is not 365 days, but I have made peace with, you know what, even if it's 30 days, I need him to serve that 30 days. Like
Right.
literally my life stopped. He took away my possibilities of what could be. We had plans. And we never got a chance to even do any of that. And to add insult to injury, my mother-in-law had passed away 6 months prior.
Oh.
She had dementia. She was older, so she lived a good life. But I had his service 6 months to the day that we had hers. And so when you think about his siblings and that side of the family, that's a double whammy. And I will say that they have not been the same. Like when I
They
tell
never will be.
those two deaths has torn that family apart, and it's unfortunate. And so I know that ensuring that this person is brought to justice and accepting what that is never going to bring Steve back. But it's almost like I can't just do nothing. I gotta make this make sense some type of way. So my husband didn't die in vain. I want to save the next person from having to go through what I'm going through. I have sat through depositions and things, and I understand that everybody has a job, right? But it's personal for me.
Right.
And they are paid to protect their clients or to create doubt or to remove liability by any means necessary, right? But some of the things that they try to say or do, like my mind knows, all right, they check in the box.
Right.
But the human part of me, this is very personal, and nothing changes the fact that it was 4 vehicles in that accident. My husband is the only one that did not come home. The only one. And when you said you remember time, my husband left. He would leave home about 4:30-ish, somewhere around there. And the police came to notify me it was after 12. I had been worried all that time. When the coroner came to my house and talked to me, and I was asking about what time he passed, and he told me that what's on his death certificate is the time that he came to the scene and pronounced him. But we watch a lot of TV and stuff. My husband loved these little crime shows, First 48 and stuff. So I'm like, they should be able to tell me what time. I don't know why that time mattered, right?
It matters.
Yeah, it mattered.
It matters.
So when we got the black box, his car had a black box, and we were able to see like where his speed was, because they could tell about the skid marks, different stuff like that. When we could see the speed he's going, and then there's nothing. Like there's no braking, there's nothing. So that's a clear indicator he didn't see it.
Right.
And everything went at 5:08. I'll never forget it. My tattoo It has no time. Well, this one, I don't know if you can see it.
Mhm.
It's right here. It's a clock, but there's no hands
Mhm.
on this clock because time
Mhm.
stopped for me
Mhm.
when he passed away. And the
Mhm.
owl, because when he passed, one of my colleagues sent me an owl. I didn't know owls never leave their mates. And
Mhm.
so the owls have become a thing for me. And I have
Okay.
another tattoo where I had the time, the clock is set for 5:08 because that
Mhm.
is when my world literally changed. That's when he ceased
Yeah.
to exist. And when somebody dies and nobody asks you like, woohoo, does this fit in your schedule right now? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Is this acceptable? Nobody asks you. It's like you're literally thrust into this space. And everybody that's around us still expects for us to be or give some sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
There's nothing normal
No.
about any of this.
No.
And I know I tell my therapist all the time, like, I really wish you could just like come as a PSA for anybody that comes into contact with me so they'll know
Mhm.
how to deal with me or how to talk to me, right?
Mhm.
But then I just told her this week, I said, you know what? I said, I know that would make it easier for me. I said, but you know what? I got to be more intentional about prioritizing people
Mhm.
and things.
Mhm.
So stress, and I'm sure you can identify stress, it is a silent killer, just like hypertension. Because even now, whereas I'm doing the things to help me to heal, um, stress has shown up for me health wise. And
Mhm.
people don't understand because I look a certain type of way,
Mhm.
um, that there's nothing wrong. But,
Mhm.
I don't have to wear my emotions on my sleeve to hurt.
Mhm.
And I don't have to just be crying to the world about my pain,
Mhm.
and it's not about me feeling like I have to show that I'm strong or that,
Mhm.
nothing is penetrating me. That's just not it. It's just
Mhm.
there's a time and a place for everything. But now let me tell you, if I'm in Lowe's, because that was our store, if I cry in Lowe's, I'm gonna
Mhm.
walk in Lowe's and cry, and I'm okay
Mhm.
with that. And I think the
Mhm.
people up there know that I'm up there so much they don't. Yeah, they give me my moment. They don't bother me.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I just think that people don't really realize. Like I would say, I am forever changed.
Yes.
Forever, and even with
Fundamentally.
yes, and even with
Mhm.
my kids, I know even with your daughter, like she
Mhm.
knows, yeah, you're mom, but you are not the same. And I'm not saying that that's a bad or a good thing. It
Mhm.
just is. You know what
Is.
I'm saying? It just is,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But people who really love you, they
Mhm.
love you no matter what.
Mhm.
And I've even had to be okay with um, unseating people from my table. Some people unseated themselves. Some I had to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, dinner's over." Um,
Yeah.
and I've been okay with it. Like I wasn't losing any sleep over that. I've been okay with
Mhm.
that. You know, I've never been afraid to do things on my own and to go and to travel. And one thing I
Mhm.
identify is I am never going to disappoint myself. I'm never going to disappoint me. And I know
Mhm.
me better than anybody.
Anybody,
So
right?
being alone and being lonely are two very different things.
Yes.
And I have so many things
Yes.
in my life that fulfill me and just kind of make me light up. For a long
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
the light was really dim in my
Mhm.
eyes. Like I would look in the mirror and yeah, I knew it was me, but I
Mhm.
didn't think that I would get that spark back.
Right.
Um, but it's coming back slowly. Now, some
Mhm.
days, it'll flicker a little bit, but I'm still a work in progress. I used
Right.
to tell people I am perfectly imperfect.
Mhm.
Um, my relationship and my marriage with my husband was perfectly imperfect. And
Mhm.
the crazy thing was, with all my moody ways, I'm an Aquarius, so I'm very moody.
Me too.
Um, yeah, see, yes, very moody.
Yeah.
But it's almost like he loved me even more just because
Mhm.
I was me. with all of my imperfections. And I've never met not just a man, but an individual that accepts you like that. And that is not judgmental. That is not envious. That is not jealous. That is just like, baby, I love you. Like, you know what? You want to do that? I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, do that. And I'm gonna ride with you. Like, he was my number one hype man and my
Oh, that's
cheerleader.
nice.
So it's like, I don't have that. Of course my kids buy into my stuff, but like with him, he was my rider. He was my rider. And my secrets, I tell people, like, how sometimes, things may be going on. You be like, yeah, I'm gonna wait and see. And then I'll tell my mom or my dad, let's see what this is. People be like, okay, this was our safe space. If it was nothing to tell, then great. If it was something to tell, and I'd be like, yeah, nah, he'd be like, yeah, go on and tell your mama them what's going on or whatever, So it was my accountability person too, just to have that unconditional love and support in everything. And then somebody that will truly go to bat for you. Even if you're wrong. But even if you're wrong, you're right. Yes. And so I definitely miss that. And now what I find is that he's the only person outside of my family that gets that. And one thing is, I don't like people trying to change me. I'm 54 years old, right? I have changed a lot since I lost my husband, but just the foundation of me, that's not going to change, nor do I want it to change. I love me just the way that I am. And so I don't like when people try to change me. I don't like when people try to tell me how to grieve, or that I need to move on, or to even tell me how I express myself maybe makes them feel a certain type of way. And I don't want to, I ain't gonna cuss, but as I said, R. Kelly has a song that says, what you ingest doesn't make me defecate. And so, and that's my thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm not for everybody. And I'm okay with that. And I think we just gotta really know to be okay, because I think sometimes we feel like we need to be taken care of when we're in that vulnerable space, when that initial with the loss and the shock, the grief, the PTSD, because it is post-traumatic stress. Yes, the PTSD, the anxiety.
It really is.
So when people are coming in and they want to take care of you, and it does feel good. It's like, oh Lord, like, yeah. Then you quickly identify, this is not right. That the intentions are not well. This is not. This is not what I need to be fed. Let me say that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I enjoyed this conversation. I think I needed it. This was like therapy today.
Yes,
I haven't seen my therapist in a while. So.
Listen. Every week I see my therapist, and this week I saw her twice, because after I had that session, that's when I got the call and they told me that they had the man in custody, and I started experiencing emotions that I didn't imagine that I would, and I was broken. It was like going back to that moment, and so I felt I needed to talk to her. I needed to help her to help me process this. And that's when a good therapist is amazing. But she doesn't try to tell me that my feelings are right or wrong or justified, but she helps me to understand where it's coming from. Because my whole thing with therapy has always been, I need somebody to help me to grieve in a healthy way, because I can't skip over grieving. If I do, everything will crumble.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
And I think what this conversation today has done is to help, because we're not the only people, right?
Exactly.
And for those who hear this, to know that there are other people going through what you're going through, and we understand it, even though it may be different family members, but grieving cannot be dictated by the people who surround you. You should never
Exactly.
allow anybody, like people would tell me, oh, it's been 6 years, you haven't gotten over it yet. How the heck do you get over it?
Yes,
What are you
that.
talking about? Then I don't talk to you anymore. And then you're like, oh, you acting different.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I'm acting
God,
different
that
because
is that
you
is me.
crazy.
Or people will say, "Well, I had lost my mom, and but
I lost my mom
as
too.
they're talking to me, what I hear is, you need to be in therapy because
Yeah.
you're not healed. You know what I'm saying? If
No.
you don't sit in it and let yourself feel, and I mean feel the uncomfortable of it,
Yeah.
you ain't dealing with it. You ain't
No.
dealing with it.
I
Gotta
lost my
deal with
mom. My mom was sick. I
it.
expected her to die.
But still, that's your mama. We ain't got but one.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I expected her to die. So when she passed, it hit me, but not in the same exact way because I had time to prepare.
Right.
But to today, I still miss my mom.
Exactly, because there's certain things that you can only talk to your mom about, but then
Exactly. Like
because
when
God
my son
is
passed, I was like, Mom,
right.
where are you?
We're
Because I'm
supposed
like,
to
I
bury
need
our
you now.
parents, but not to bury
Yeah,
our kids, right?
exactly.
It's
It's,
like the
come on
timing,
now.
the timing. So
Yeah. So
I
sometimes when I hear people say things like that, I'm like, you either have never lost anybody that was truly close to you, or you just real different.
and you know what I always say, and I learned it hurts so bad because you loved so hard.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Um,
Enjoyed this, Tracy.
yes, me too. I really
Yes,
did
yes.
too.
And I hope that people
Um,
realize one of my things is, when you look at myself and then look at you,
mhm,
you and I are no different. My thing is that life happens. Nobody's exempt from it. You
right.
know, death is that's a road we have to all take. But the traumatic things, the unexpected things, nobody's
Mhm.
exempt from it. Just like
No,
it was you and I, it could be somebody else.
somebody
But
else.
it's
Yeah.
about how you deal with your stuff,
Mhm,
how
mhm,
you deal with it. Because some people self-destruct.
mhm. Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
thankful
I
we're
think
not
there's so
that.
much more that we could get into, but I don't want to make this
Yes.
overly
Listen,
long.
listen. We have to do a part two because this was good. Like this was.
Yeah.
And then you see
But
how God brings you around people that you need to pour into, and
yes.
they need to
Yeah.
pour into you. Get
Mhm,
what you
mhm.
need when you don't even know you need it.
Yeah. For sure. So tell our audience what makes you an impactor.
What makes me an impactor is the way I choose to grab and embrace life and continue to live each and every day, not just the good days, but on the difficult
Mhm.
days, on the hard days. I continue to live with intent, and I continue to live with purpose, and I continue to live in the way that God intends me to. And most of all, because my husband died, I make it a point to live because he continues to live through me.
Oh, awesome. And what are 3 impactor tips that you would leave our audience with?
Love yourself, prioritize you,
Mhm.
and be okay with saying no.
Oh,
You can't say yes to everything and everybody.
mhm. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. And if someone wanted to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
I am on social media. I'm a Facebook person. I'm on Facebook at Cam Golden. And I am on Instagram also at I am Cam underscore Golden. And
Okay.
I'm also on YouTube at Cam Golden 24 on YouTube. I'm on
Mhm.
TikTok, but I don't know what my TikTok name is.
Oh,
And then, yeah,
okay. All right.
and then I have a business number
Mhm.
that if you want to reach me, you can reach me at
Tell
six
them what
seven
type of
eight.
services you offer.
Okay. So, well, I forgot to say, I'm an author. I wrote a book
Mhm,
about juicing. It is a nutrition based book, and it has a journaling element. Where
mhm,
I am now, I want to be able to allow my experience to impact and help someone else. So I want to
mhm,
be a vessel, um, if that's the thing, to
mhm,
encourage and to inspire and to help people to get through the rough spots. My business name is Cam Golden LLC, actually. If you would like to have me for speaking engagements or to come onto your podcast to speak about my journey, to speak about my healing, to talk about the nutrition behind juicing. I am not a medical professional. However, it is food to my soul in a different way. You can contact me at area code 678-993-9781. And also my email is camgoldenllc@gmail.com.
All right. Well, Cam,
Yes.
thank you again so much for being here today. I know that your message will resonate with our audience very much because I think that a lot of people tend to grieve in isolation because most of the people who surround them cannot understand their grieving process. So thank you again for being here today. And until next time, everyone, see you next time on Impctrs Out Loud. Bye-bye.
Thank you.